What went wrong with Elaine Thompson Herah'S 2022 season? Welcome back to the channel, people. Welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here, thank you for making it Peter Lloyd World. Now go ahead, please hit that subscribe button so we can continue to grow. When you do that, go in and hit the notification bell so you know when the next video drops. We drop a video at least once a day here on Peter Lloyd World. Also, if you enjoy the content, please hit that like button. And finally, leave your comments. After this sports analysis where we take a look at and we break down the races. So, are you ready? Yep, good to go. So, what went wrong with Elaine Thompson Herah'S 2022 season? I mean, after the Bonononos 2021 season that she had, how did everything go so wrong? In an interview, the world's fastest woman over the 100 meters, well, fastest living, and the world third fastest all the time in the 200 meters, Elaine Thompson Herah gives her vantage point as to why things might have gone so awry for her 2022 season.
I get that, as I said earlier this season, I had some injuries that is bothering me, but based on what I saw this year, everybody who had an awesome season last year didn't make it to the first round. People crashing into hurdles, not get to defending their titles. So looking back on my journey early this season, I am happy that I could come out here, made it to the rounds and get 2 medals. I did not perform at my best in the 200. I was not feeling well, but I still went out there and ran that race. I came back today with a team effort, get another medal. I'm just super happy.
So in this interview, Elaine Thompson Herah alludes to two really important factors as to why her 2022 season was so wrong. And of course, let me say this. We are simply giving you our perspective as to what could have gone so wrong with this remarkable athlete who still remains the fastest living woman over the 100 meters, second fastest all time over the 100 meters, and the third fastest all time over the 200 meters. A remarkable talent. So let's look at the second thing that she mentioned first. Now, many of you have basically given your opinion as to what you think is the primary reason why she did not perform as well as she did in 2021. So let's go through this. She gave us one of the primary reasons why she may not have done so well. So let's talk about that first reason. Now, there's a condition referenced as gold medal syndrome. This means consisting of dark feelings of depression, confusion, loss of purpose, resentment, negative self-worth, and emptiness. Such emotions can emerge weeks, sometimes days after the games, meaning the Olympic Games. The very nature of competing at an event as huge as the Olympic Games, I meant to say unsurprisingly, takes a serious toll on both body and mind. In an article in the shorthand, The Board, they reference post-Olympic blues. Now, this is how this works. It is primarily a mental health issue that affects many top-level athletes, people like Simone Biles, Adam Peaty, and Naomi Osaka, being just a few of these persons. Now, regardless of their competition outcome, many sports people are prone to so-called post-Olympic blues, and despite its seemingly placid name, this emotional drop refers to a myriad of very serious mental health issues consisting of dark feelings of depression, confusion, loss of purpose, resentment, negative self-worth, and emptiness. Such emotions can emerge weeks or days after the games. Now, it's clearly the same thing that I was referencing from before. Now, why am I bringing this up? We here at Peter Lloyd World believe that this might be one of the primary factors why this great athlete did not do as well. She did very well, actually, but not as well as one would have anticipated after her 2021 season. Many athletes complain about the fact that after an amazing season, and this is not just, I named some of a few persons a while ago, Simone Biles, etc. The following this, they feel all these emotions that we talk about, which directly impacts their ability to perform on the track and or win whatever sport area that they're in. Now, I've said to you on many occasions here on Peter Lloyd World that the mental health of the athlete is really, really imperative, and it definitely impacts how the athlete operates. So she said it in that interview. She basically said she's grateful because she knows that this thing exists, and I think it might have impacted her. For clarity, because of the remarkable year that she had in 2021, she was psychologically impacted, and it led to issues of depression, doubt, etc., which impacts her mental health and could be one of the reasons why she simply has not been able to run as fast and as efficiently as she did in 2021. That's the first thing that we would like to indicate as one of the primary reasons for her fall off. Now, she did have a decent season. She became the double, meaning the double Olympic 100 and 200 meter gold medalist, and she's now the double Commonwealth Games gold medalist. That's an achievement within itself. And her times, although not spectacular, I have to remind you that what was happening in England, the temperatures were freezing. It was horrifically cold. So cold that Hansa Parchment actually pulled out of his finals because of how cold it was. In the 200 meters, she set a meet record of 22:02 to win. As I said, it was really, really cold. Days before in the UK, she won the 100 meters final in 10.95, so becoming the double champion in the Commonwealth. Now, it wasn't the spectacular run at the Tokyo 2020 Olympics, where in the 100 meters she led a sweep of Jamaicans and won in a new Olympic record time of 10.61. Also winning the 200 meters in the fastest recorded 200 meter outside of Flojo's up until that point. Since then, of course, Shericka Jackson has topped that, but it's still the third fastest 200 meter all time of 21.53. This again, she did the Tokyo 2020 Olympics. So 2022 hasn't been a terrible season, but given her own standards, I mean, her incredible times, 10.54 at the Prefontaine Classic, yeah, one would be a little disappointed in terms of the year that she has had. But so the first point we made is the psychological impact, a post Olympic Games sort of syndrome that may have impacted her psychologically in a very real way. Now, here's number two for us. She said it, injury. She has been complaining about injury. Now, remember, for 5 years, she had an Achilles heel injury that truly hampered her right up until the Tokyo 2020 Olympics. In fact, we have said in previous videos that COVID actually assisted Elaine Thompson Herah because it gave her a full year, a full time off from running, which allowed her Achilles heel to actually heal. Now, when an athlete is injury prone, the slightest thing can trigger the injury. It may not be the same injury, but something else can lead to injury. In this instance, she had a shoulder issue, and we have found out since that she had other injury issues. So clearly, if you are injured, it's going to impact you. Now, because we saw her consistently running sub 11s, 10.81 in the World Championships, I believe, to come third. She ran, her season's best was 10.79 that she did at the Prefontaine Classic, the 2022 version. We all anticipated, that there'd be more. Now, the truth is, people, 10.79 is an excessively, unbelievably fast time. But again, it's Elaine Thompson Herah. So the second obvious reason why her season was impacted was the clear reason of injury. So the first one, of course, the post-Olympic syndrome, depression, etc., that has impacted many athletes and initially confused a lot of people. And I know that as a community, we're not very big on talking about mental health issues, but I'm going to keep saying it. If the state of mind of the athlete is not right, they simply cannot perform at their best. It is quite literally an impossibility. The other thing, of course, is injury. But let's get to the topic that you all want to talk about. All of you keep saying that she needs to get a proper coach. She needs to go back to her coach. She needs to go back to Siva Francis, because you're all convinced that this is a primary reason why she has not competed at the level that she was competing at before. So let's examine this. First thing that many of you keep bringing up is that she did not peak in time and that Stephen Francis is an expert at that. Now, I can't question the brilliance of Stephen Francis. I mean, in this one man has given us the top 3 athletes in the world as we speak, female. He is assisted in coaching Sharika Jackson. Of course, we know it's really Paul that does it. Well, is it Paul? I think the correct person is Paul. But he is assisted in her coaching. We know that Elaine Thompson Herah'S and Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce, the 3 top female athletes on the planet, all Jamaicans, of course. Now, the problem with this theory is this. I'm going to say it again. Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce is now running the fastest she has ever run in her entire career. And this takes nothing away from the brilliance of Stephen Francis, who led her to what? Four world titles and 2 Olympic gold medals. But throughout that time, she wasn't running 10.67, 10.60, 10.62, 10.66. She wasn't running 10.63. So obviously her new coach has done a brilliant job and helped to bring her to a whole different level. So it's not necessarily, I think that's one of the reasons why I think that maybe Stephen Francis may not be the primary reason for this. He could be involved at some level in terms of knowing a little bit more about tweaking her. But the fact is that she's been running sub-11s all season, people, and she's run a 10.79. Those are exceptionally fast times. She got a bronze medal in the fastest, I believe, 100-meter final in the World Championships all time. So it's hard for me to swallow that one. I'm not taking anything away from the brilliance of Stephen Francis. The man is amazing. But I think that there must be more happening here, because if Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce is now running the fastest times in her life at age 35 and she's no longer with Stephen Francis, and her coach, meaning Elaine Thompson Herah'S coach, has led her to a bronze medal and a 10.81 bronze medal run. I mean, obviously the coach is nowhere near as bad as you are all thinking. Her times have been consistently very fast. Now, she's not running a 10.54, but how many people do that quite often? So I really am not sold on the Stephen Francis concept, because I'm going to say it, Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce is now running the fastest she's ever run in her entire life. On the Stephen Francis, she never ran those times. Elaine Thompson Herah has ran subsequently pretty fast times all season. She just has not been at her best. And I would like to argue that if an athlete has been around being coached for that length of time, and Elaine Thompson Herah comes across as a relatively intelligent person, she should know enough about her own body and enough coaching technique on her own at this point with a decent coach to be able to get better results. So I'm okay. Out of 10, I believe that maybe this whole thing with Stephen Francis may be 3 out of 10, but I don't believe it's more than 3. I'm sorry, I just don't buy into that concept. So for me, those are the 3 primary reasons. One, that post gold medal syndrome from running in the Olympics, that sort of depression, I think it has impacted her. So psychologically, she's not at the point where she'd normally be. She's not as healthy psychologically as she should be. Number 2, clearly she has injury issues, and if you're injured, you cannot be running at your best and at your peak. 3, I am not convinced that this whole thing about Stephen Francis is primary to the argument. I understand it, but this, of course, is just my 2 cents. Oh, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. Leave your comments. I really want to know your thoughts. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? If you agree, tell me why. If you disagree, let me know. Remember, you're royals, kings and queens. Bless up!